He is the drummer for the legendary jam band Mo. I just saw them at SPAC, Mike. They opened up for Goose, and I mean, they blew the doors off the place. And he is our guy, Vinnie Amico. Vinnie, how are you, buddy?
Good. How are you guys doing today?
We're doing great. You are getting set for Mow Down Down Under, right? This weekend in Tennessee.
Mow Down Underground.
Underground.
They're calling it. Yeah.
Okay, so you're playing in the caverns. Tell us a little bit about that place. I mean, it looks uniquely cool.
It's wild. It's a gigantic cave. I mean, they made a music venue in a cave that fits about 1,000 people. So think about how big. It's like almost about like being in the Palace Theater.
Oh man. That's amazing.
But in a cave.
In a cave. It's not like how caverns.
Not quite that high, but it's like from front to back. It's freaking huge. It's wild. We'll drive our trucks right in, unload the gear, and then drive them out.
That is absolutely wild. You guys have been playing now. You've been with the band for 30 years. You guys have been together for 35 years. Playing music, it is an incredible way to make a living and, go all over the world. At what point did you guys feel like, hey, we got something going here. We could do this for the long haul?
I think that happened before I even got in the band.
Really?
Like 30 years ago. I mean, it was kind of like that, but also like as we go and as it continues, it's like, yes, there's a lot of that. And there's also, we don't know how to do anything else anymore, so we kind of have to work really hard at this thing to keep it going.
That's great. But 35 years is a long time, and you've got to keep it fresh, and you have to evolve. Your fan base is incredibly loyal, but you have to evolve and keep it fresh. How have you guys been able to do that?
I would say for the most part, our songwriting has continued to evolve. Our playing, obviously, even the way we play live, like the songs that we wrote 35 years ago aren't played the same way as they were then. We've had a couple membership changes. I mean, like me, I've been in the band 30 years, so I'm the drummer. But there was there was 4 drummers before me, and 2 albums worth of material, or 3. So the drumming changed when I got in it. So that was a change. Adding Nate to the group is a change sonically and songwriting-wise, so that was an evolution. Adding Jim back as the percussion player, in 1999, which is already, 27 years ago, was another piece of evolution because it, made our sound change. We had added a multi-instrumentalist that added a whole different color to the music. So, we continue to add colors musically, but we also evolve both songwriting-wise and as a band.
All right, and from that, what about technology? Has that has that opened some doors for you guys to help you with your sound? We're
a bunch of old farts, so we don't really we evolve in some ways that way, but me personally, I am analog all the way. Like I have nothing. I'm computer illiterate, so I don't do anything to change in that way. Jim, he adds stuff to his rig all the time and is into the technology somewhat. And, Nate being the keyboard player, he's pretty technically efficient. The guitar players still play vintage gear. Rob plays some vintage stuff.
Right.
So, we still keep it mostly analog and don't get too crazy into newer technologies. But, it's there, the way we record. It's inevitable that you record your albums via Pro Tools and you're not really on tape. You might do everything on Pro Tools, then push it to tape, then back to Pro Tools just to get some warmth and, analog sound that way.
Right.
But, you're kind of forced in the studio because it is just way faster and easier to be in Pro Tools. And now with the plugins and everything too, like you almost don't need to go to tape. A lot of people still do, but the plugins are so good that you just don't even really need it.
Right. Do you guys have a process for your songwriting? Like, is there just a way you guys come up with your songs?
It's different now and again. Like, we've gone from writing everything together to writing in the studio together. Sometimes it's just somebody has an idea and we evolve it as a band. Other times, there's pretty much fully fleshed out songs that come in and we just start playing them. And then whoever song it is, say Rob wrote a song and put drums down and guitar parts to it. Like, we don't play like him or think that way. So all of a sudden our parts get put on his songs and it kind of makes it sound more like Mo and less like, Rob writing a song on his own or whatever, or Al or whoever's writing the song,
All right, so you guys, and we're hanging out with Vinnie Amico. He is the drummer for the legendary jam band Mo, and you can get all of your tickets for Mo at mo.org. You guys are leading up the Adirondack Independent Music Fest, right?
That is correct. I think it's either our fourth or maybe even fifth year where we're headlining it. It's such a great festival. For those local folk that have been there, it's right on the water. It's one of the most beautiful venues ever. I mean, you're right on Lake George, right there. And it's right downtown, so it's convenient. The lineups have always been really great. It's just a great weekend of music.
Yeah, fantastic. I'll be at the Saturday night show, so I'll be sure to wave to you.
Awesome. Please do.
I definitely will.
Please do.
All right. Hey, Vinny, it's Mike Palumbo, and I'm sure in your 30-plus years of touring, you've met thousands of people. Is there anyone in your 30 years of touring that you have met that have been memorable?
Lots of people that I've met have been memorable. It's a lot easier to remember famous people because they're famous and, so them going in. So it's not like you have to remember their name 100 times. And there's been plenty of those, mostly musicians, but also a few, like movie stars or whatever. But then you come across people, doctors, or just fascinating people that either have a really cool story or have lost a kid to cancer or something that just you get talking to one day and then you become friends with. So that happens a lot. So I could sit here and tell you, yes, one person, but there's too many for me to count of interesting people that I've become friends with. And,
that's awesome.
And
yeah,
fair enough. But you also have toured all over the world. So is there any music venues that you have had to got to play at that have stood out to you as well?
Oh, yeah. Red Rocks is amazing.
Yeah.
As everybody says, SPAC is probably my favorite because I grew up there. I started seeing shows there when I was 14. So I saw all my first 100 rock concerts were like that. So, the dream when I'm 16, high and drunk is to be playing on that stage when I'm, 35 or 40 or whatever. And, it's happened and I've gotten to, do it 3 times now. So it's like I fulfilled my dreams. I can die in happiness now. Not that I don't really want to do that, no. But I mean, that was a dream of mine. We've played Radio City Music Hall. We've played the Fox in Atlanta. There's just some great venues. There's a place called Pine Creek Lodge. It's just little small wooden stage out kind of in the woods of Montana that we play every year. That's amazing. We're going back to the Mishawaka Amphitheater in up on the Poudre Canyon outside of Fort Collins, Colorado, coming up in a few weeks, and it's just an amazing venue. It's just awesome.
Those are very cool places. Extremely cool. Hey, you're mentioning going to SPAC, and I imagine that you and I crossed on a few shows there. Talk a little bit about your influences.
Well, they're fast. So people ask these questions, the question about meeting people that I remember, yes. And there's a lot of them, yes. And, some of them were my influences, the Grateful Dead guys.
Right.
I got to meet and play with all those guys over the years. And those are memorable meetings. So, going back to that question, it's yes, I did meet Bob Weir and Phil Lesh and, and I did play with them a bunch and become, acquaintances of theirs. So those are people that I remember, or Robert Plant. who was in Led Zeppelin, who, is one of my biggest influences ever. And we got to play with him back in the early 2000s, and met him. So that's a memorable meeting and an influence.
Yeah.
So, guys like the Grateful Dead or Led Zeppelin or Rush or, some of the jazz greats that my father used to listen to and influenced me, things like that. Or, there's so many bands, Genesis and Yes, and, Grateful Dead and Fish and Led Zeppelin. And there's a million influences, especially if you're a musician, and for drummers, for me in particular, that mostly self-taught, like every band that I like and listen to is an influence because I'm stealing something from whoever's in that band, So there's a lot of influences. I can't say I'm a Green Day fan, but they've got hit after hit after hit of music. And so, Trey Cool is an influence because I probably stole something from him somewhere along the line, So, there's stuff like that, or, some of the even newer bands that it's like you hear and you're like, wow, really great. I'm going to steal, or what? It's not really steal. It's just you're going to, take that as influence and use it in your own voice.
That's awesome. All right. On that, who are you listening to these days?
Well, I don't listen to any new music, really.
Okay. No, that's okay.
I don't listen to a lot of, we play so much lately that I don't listen to a lot because I'm playing all the time.
Yeah.
But when I'm in my car and I'm listening to music, I mostly listen to the bridge on Sirius, which is like, mellow classics, because otherwise I have road rage and I'll want to, kill somebody, or I'll be killed because I'm freaking out at somebody for not putting their blank around something stupid like that. So, so I listen to freaking Christopher Cross and the two mellow classics.
We're going to keep you calm.
But it's the production on most of that music, Steely Dan and the Doobies and all that. It's amazing production. The songs are great, and they're classics, and they keep me mellow.
Yeah, they're absolutely. My wife does that to me. She'll put on like Cat Stevens when she thinks I'm driving too fast. She's like, "You got to calm down. You have to do that." Yeah, exactly. Enjoy yourself in the cavern, and then what? You guys pick up again in the middle of August, and basically you're August through the beginning of September, right?
Yeah, we got 2 weeks on the road, or another. I don't know. We've been touring on and off with Humphreys McGee all summer and having a blast with those guys. They're old friends of ours, great band. So we got some more shows coming up on our way out to Mishawaka. So I think we're doing 4 or 5 more with Humphreys, and then a couple on our own. Then we do those Mishawaka shows, and then home for a week before we go to 80K.
Oh, that is absolutely awesome. We'll catch up with you maybe after all that in the middle of the Bills season and see how you're doing and see how the Bills are doing. How's that?
That sounds great. You can hear me either screaming and yelling about how dare they lose, or I'll be freaking on cloud 9 going, we have the best team in football. So we'll see.
Well, I will definitely be sure to say hi to you at the Adirondack Independence Music Festival. That is September 4th through 6th up in Lake George. And Mo is playing 2 nights, and it's going to be they're headlining it. So it's going to be absolutely outstanding. And with our guy, Vinny, on the drums. Vinnie Amico.
4 sets of music. Should be a lot of fun.
It doesn't get any better than that. He's Vinnie Amico. He's the drummer for the legendary jam band Mo. Go to mo.org for all your ticket information. More of the Tailgate 104.5 The Team.